Hello, beauty. This is Divinely Jennifer coming in. I just wanted to let you know that the new moon in Libra energy and astrology was so juicy that I have broken it up into two parts. So this video that you're watching here is going to be part one for the new moon in Libra. And then there will be a second one that hopefully will pop up on your YouTube feed, or you'll see it on my website as part two, so that you can get really, it's just, oh my God, ecstasy energy of this new moon. It's really incredible. So the second video is much more about the astrology versus the energy. So I do talk some about the astrology in this one, but you'll definitely get more astrology in the second one. All right, loves, let me know if you have any questions, likes, comments, love below. I'm always appreciative, and I love you. And here is part one for the new moon in Libra. Mwah. Hello, beauty, and welcome to OMG Ecstasy, the new moon in Libra, which is happening September 25th, 2022. I am Divinely Jennifer, also known as Jennifer Schmidt, and I have lots of letters after my name, but I come to you today to talk about the energy of this upcoming Libra new moon and the Libra lunar cycle. Oh my gosh. And there is so much going on with this new moon. I think you're really going to appreciate how much kinder it is than the Virgo lunar cycle, which has asked so much of us and has caused, not that the lunar cycle itself is responsible for causing us any pain and suffering, but just that we're experiencing a lot of pain right now, a lot of uncertainty, plans not going the way they were supposed to. You know, we set up a timeline for ourselves and then things happen. And I can certainly relate to that. I won't go into that here. But it's like there's, you get everything set up and the universe goes, ha ha, just kidding. Like, what? So we have this new moon at 2 degrees, 48 minutes of Libra on September 25th. It's a Sunday, 2022, and it's happening at 2:54 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 5:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That means for those of you in Europe and beyond, in the UK and beyond, it's actually happening on the 26th. And the keynotes of this new moon in Libra, like Libra is all about one-on-one relationships, you and me and us. It's about balance, harmony, love for others, peace, diplomacy, fairness, equity, sharing beauty with others. Now, Scorpio, which we'll have in the next lunar cycle, is about sharing our resources with others or taking resources from others, because that's the shadow side of Scorpio, using our power to take from other people. That's the shadow side. But the Scorpio does have its good side, so don't worry. I offended a lot of people last year in my Scorpio videos, and I don't mean to, because Scorpio has a lot of gifts to offer us. But this Libra lunar cycle is about beauty, sharing beauty with others, sharing our own beauty with others, sharing our own delight, our own love, etc. Now, because this Libra new moon happens at the beginning of the sun's transit through Libra. So the sun is going to enter, depending on when you're watching this, the sun is entering Libra on Thursday around 6 p.m., 6:03 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Thursday, September 22nd. Happy birthday, Mom. Mom's an equinox baby, just like I am a solstice baby. So because it's happening at the beginning of the sun's transit through Libra, we're really going to feel the energy of Libra very strongly throughout the lunar cycle. And this energy, and this is going to happen now for the next several lunar cycles until we get to the second new moon in Aries next spring, in spring of 2023. So every lunar cycle is going to begin at the beginning of the sun's transit through that sign. So we're going to be feeling this energy especially strongly. And this energy of Libra, of the Libra lunar cycle, is going to culminate with a gorgeous, oh my gosh, a gorgeous Venus and Sun conjunction called the Venus star point at 29 degrees, 26 minutes of Libra on October 22nd. During the balsamic moon, just before we enter Scorpio and eclipse season. So there's some love from the universe offering us this Venus star point before things really shift into WTF mode for the Scorpio eclipse lunar cycle. Now, if you're watching this video with your little ones, you may want to wait until later because I'm going to be talking about OMG, ecstasy, and a lot about the big O. The little O, any O at this point in our lives is a valuable O. So just saying, if that's not something you want your kids to hear, just maybe pause this and listen to it later. So Libra is about frequency. Imagine a spectrum of frequency with dark on one end and light on the other, with masculine on one end and dark and feminine on the other. And not to say that masculine or feminine is dark or light. These are just spectrums we're talking about. So don't take that personally. We've got yin on one side and yang on the other. And these spectrums symbolize the polarities that these frequencies represent. Not to separate us, but to attract and bring together. That's attraction, right? That's manifestation, is when these polar ends come together. So how does the light work with the dark? How does the dark bring out the beauty of the light? Some of the other energy that we're playing with in this Libra lunar cycle is that 2022, the new moon we had in Aquarius back in January of 2022, opened us into the year of the tiger. Tigers symbolize passion, power, sensuality, devotion. There's a great book out there called Animal Speak by Ted Andrew, if you haven't seen it. And that's where I get those keynotes. But that energy of the tiger very much represents this lunar cycle as well, and the Scorpio lunar cycle. There's elements of the tiger in both of these lunar cycles. And so this lunar cycle, this Libra lunar cycle, invites us to come together in beauty and delight before we go on the exhilarating roller coaster adventure of the upcoming Scorpio lunar cycle, of eclipse season, of Mars retrograde, and of course, Election Day in the US, which is a full moon lunar eclipse. Yikes. So the love and sensuality and devotion of Libra are very, very different from the love and sensuality and devotion of Scorpio. Both can be serious in their shadows, and both can help us to transcend the heights of ecstasy. Libra encourages us to preserve the peace and the harmony, and we kind of might bury stuff under the rug to keep that peace. Libra might get a little jealous, but it won't tell you it's jealous because it doesn't want to upset the balance, which of course, by not saying anything, it upsets the balance. But, that's part of the shadow side of Libra. On the other hand, Scorpio will not only tell you it's jealous, it will scream and rage until you're both sobbing on the floor and then having the most intense makeup sex ever. That's kind of the difference between some of that Libra and Scorpio energy. I just want to take this moment to let you all know that the astrology for the Scorpio lunar cycle is so intense. I mean, it's like almost every day there is something. And so I am going to be offering a new program for everybody. It's called Bridge Through Uncertainty, a transformative portal to navigate through eclipse season and beyond. And if you're interested in learning more about it, head over to my website at www.divinelyjennifer.com/programs. And you can sign up there to get more information. Basically, we're going to be coming together in community. We'll be sharing the astrology with you. It's going to start October 9th on the Aries full moon to kind of help get us prepped for what's coming in Scorpio. It'll take us through that lovely Venus eclipse or that Venus star point before the new moon, through Mars retrograde, through the eclipses, etc. So that when we come out, we might be a little bruised and battered like everybody else, but at least we know we've got the tools. We understand how these aspects affect us, affect the collective. And although we can't control the outcome of what's going to happen, we can control our reaction to the outcome. All right. So I just want to tell you about that, put in a plug for that. And yes, I'm going to be putting a plug for Bridge Through Uncertainty throughout this entire video, because to me, these times are so potent and pregnant for transformation, whether we ask for it or not. So it's really important that we have tools in our tool belt to help us through these crazy times. Okay, back to Libra. Take advantage of the beauty and delight that Libra offers us in this lunar cycle. That's really so much of the message, is to take advantage and slow down and taste the gratitude that's in your lover's kiss. Experience the joy of sharing the immense beauty of a golden sun setting on fall colors or on spring flowers, depending on if you're in the northern or southern hemisphere. With a total stranger, like sitting on a park bench and you're like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Or with the birds, or with your dog, or with, the divine, but sharing it with somebody, something, someone. And it's acknowledging the pleasure of both giving and receiving. I think I've mentioned this before in previous videos, but in my perspective, every relationship actually consists of 3 beings, not 2. It's you and me and we. We is that third being. So each of us has our own aura, our own shadows, our own gifts. And then the relationship itself has its own aura, its own shadows, its own gifts. An affirmation for this lunar cycle might be, I see the divine in me. I see the divine in you. I see the divine in we. Or you could also say it this way. You could say, I feel the divine in me. I feel the divine in you. I feel the divine in we. Or substitute experience, etc. So it's really about experiencing the divine in us as individuals, and in the threesome, if you want to call it that. And it's not like a kinky threesome, although that's fine too. Then that would be that'd be like a 6-some, I suppose, if you're counting how many beings might be involved in that physical threesome. But in a 2-some, there's actually 3 beings. And not to get all biblical or preachy on you, but this Libra lunar cycle reminds us of the golden rule. Do unto others, also known as what comes around goes around. Or you could also think about you reap what you sow. Everything we say, think, or do impacts our present and our future. We're all walking around so seriously, our heads are bent down over our devices, and we're bent over from feeling beaten down by ourselves and by others. And we're lost in our seriousness, lost in the suffering of our seriousness. How many of us let the thoughts in our head be dominated by scarcity, fear, loss, distrust? In those moments, we've lost our connection to the divine within us and outside of us, internally and externally. Some of you might be offended by this, but Mercury is retrograde as I'm recording this. So, I'm just going to say it anyway. I see this as one of the main distinctions between those who have been afraid of the crown chakra sickness, also known as COVID, and those who are not afraid. There's a distinction between those who think the jabs should be mandated and those who don't. And it all comes back to our connection to God, the divine, the universe, source, whatever name you give to the omnipresent love that surrounds us. So those who carry the fear either don't believe in this love at all, or they don't trust it. And those without the fear do have a connection to this energy. They trust it. It's something that defines their lives and their identity in some ways. People with this connection to the divine are less afraid of death, both for themselves and for others. This is simply what I have observed over the last 2 years. When we don't believe in the magic and love and mystery of the divine, we fear death. The closer we are to spirit, to the divine, to God, source, the less serious we are, the less fear in our brains, and the less constriction in our hearts. And I know some of you might take this observation personally, and I don't want you to. That's really on you, but it's the truth of what I've experienced and witnessed, both inside of healthcare, inside working in the healthcare system during 2020, and then outside of the healthcare system in 2021, and now in 2022, as I'm weaving them back in together. That there's something about the connection and about a fear of death, not in a reckless way, but in full trust and in full loving partnership with the divine. We all have our shadows. And the more our brains and our mind rule over our hearts, the more fear we have. It's an imbalance, this fear being in our heads all the time as our culture and society almost demands and squeezes from us, right? Like that's where so much of this is coming from. It's like that, using fear to influence our thoughts. And so it creates an imbalance between fear and love. Our minds are incredibly strong. They grip, they hold on tight to their limiting beliefs and keep us in a place of seriousness, which lowers our vibration, lowers our frequency. This new moon in Libra and the entire Libra lunar cycle are all about vibration and frequency. That's one of the keynotes of Libra in general. Don't underestimate the impact of your thoughts, feelings, and actions in your everyday life, on others. When you find beauty in the simple, when you delight in this beauty, you reprogram your neurons in your head and you raise your frequency, which automatically raises the frequency of those around you, those in your aura and sphere, even if they don't act like it because they're buried in their own seriousness and devices. This is so serious. All right. The easiest place to find delight is where? Out in nature and Mother Earth. A flower, a bird, a gentle breeze, fall colors, a billowy cloud, even the rain. It's been raining here in Northern California, and it's like, oh, such a balm, so much delight in it, so much beauty. And we can find this beauty and delight anywhere. We desperately need those little moments of delight and gratitude in our world, especially with this upcoming Scorpio lunar cycle. Just saying. So practice experiencing delight now. Because when it's a muscle that we have to exercise, just like we want to strengthen our quads. My son is working out and he wants to get strong, and he's benching and he's pressing and, he's squatting. And then there's all these other deadlifting. And I just wish they wouldn't call it a deadlift. It just seems so, like, wait, hold on. So it's like, if we practice this delight now, then it will be a lot easier in the transformative weeks of Scorpio. Delight is an expression of love. This is why it raises our frequency. It opens our hearts and it removes just a little bit of the constriction we place around our hearts in our fear. Delight helps to rebalance and reboot both our nervous system and our hearts. It's an upgrade from the conventional world. Conventional world wants us to be constricted, wants us to be tight in those shadow frequencies, which are so dominant and prevalent right now. So try it. Just try it. Fully drop into the moment, the touch of your sweetie, the first apples of the season, the smell of fresh mint, a red leaf, a blossom, a sip of wine, the sound of a crystal bowl. Let your senses and your spirit be immersed in its beauty. Libra is ruled by Venus traditionally, and she is all about appreciating beauty. She celebrates the love and gratitude we experience from beauty through abundance and raising our frequency. Before you know it, you're living more in present moment than in your head. So let's tip the scales of Libra towards love and watch the magic that transpires in our lives and the lives of those we love and all around us. Libra is also ruled by Juno, the goddess of marriage and intimate partnership. What happens to your most beloved relationship when you delight in your beloved, in their beauty and their light, in the beauty and light you create together in the we? What happens when you see and experience the divine in each other and in yourselves? Ecstasy, baby. Pure ecstasy. Ecstasy isn't just physical or sexual, like something you might strive to achieve after a Tantra workshop, though it can manifest that way too. It tends to surprise us and well up in ways we don't expect. You're in the midst of delight, and then boom, something tips you over the edge, and you lose yourself in the divine frequency around you. You release all the boundaries and constrictions around your heart, and you allow the light of the divine to touch you. Like Michelangelo's painting, The Creation of Adam, where the finger of God is reaching out to touch Adam. They're reaching out. You know that it's up in the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican. Ecstasy is feeling the finger of God or the divine, again, whatever you want to call this omnipotent source of love, touching your heart. It's a sensation so exquisite that it's almost painful. And this the up-leveling that comes from that is instant and transformative. It's like when you're orgasming. I told you I was going to talk about the big O. OMG. Instead of stopping right away because it's so intense, you're not like, oh, wait, I'm orgasming. Stop. Like you keep going just a little longer. Oh, it hurts so good. You crest the waves over and over till you're spent. That's ecstasy. I mean, you can't really have an orgasm when you're in your head. Have you ever had that experience? So either you or your lover can't orgasm because you are thinking. You're not totally open to the experience. Your brain goes to that place. It's a total boner breaker. When your heart is open, it's pure magic. This is why you can have, great sex with someone you don't love, but it's never quite as amazing as being intimate with someone you do love. Someone who has totally broken the shackles and shields of your heart, where you've completely surrendered to the magic of love, to the divine within you, within them, and within each other, within the we. Okay. This may be TMI for some of you. And if my parents or kids are watching or listening to this, or you just don't want to know, you may want to fast forward a couple of minutes and don't say I didn't warn you. Okay. You paused. Okay. You're right. You want to hear this. All right. When you and your lover are, I mean, I am going to use the sex analogy, making love, because it's a physical embodiment of ecstasy that many of us can relate to in one way or another. So when you and your lover are making love and you are cresting those waves, being dragged under the undertow of OMG orgasms, and then resurfacing to experience more, or you've just experienced one heck of a divine, rapturous, ecstatic moment together that shatters you into a million glorious pieces. You are changing and healing the world in beautiful ways. There is nothing shameful about it. Au contraire, my love, those divine expressions of sensual and divine love on the physical plane are healing for the world, healing for those around you, and of course, for you and your lover. And I'm privileged to say that I know this from experience, because when my partner takes me to that delicious, intoxicating place of divine surrender, where I have no choice but to breathe into the delight of being alive in this incredible physical body, and the incredible sensations of pleasure that he inspires, I feel new portals opening in the cosmos. It is raising the frequency of those around us. And I can actually feel the trauma of the feminine, those sacred wounds that I talked about in the Virgo lunar cycle videos, being healed, being transformed within me and for the entire feminine. Once you go there, once you raise your frequency like that, you can't go back down to where you've been. You've been initiated into and through new portals of divine ecstasy. You can't unexperience it. It lives in the memory of your heart, your cells, and your spirit. You can't quite close off your heart and go back into that place of seriousness or fear. You can try to close yourself off, but it's like accidentally seeing your parents have sex. You can never unsee it. The portals are open for you to return to. So you might constrict a little bit, or you might constrict a lot, but you can't quite go back into as much constriction, as much fear. The catch is you have to surrender to it. Let your heart be open to the magic of the moment. If you start thinking about paying the bills or the dishes in the sink or the coworker who's talking badly about you, you got to just let that shit go and come back to the moment. And again, that takes some practice. Let yourself practice that muscle. You have to let your heart and your love in all of its expansiveness drive the experience. Now, these portals don't only open through lovemaking, but like I said, it's a way that we humans are able to create these experiences, to open these portals, to experience an embodiment of ecstasy. These portals can open, of course, without consciously trying to create them. Now, if you try to make them happen, that's not going to work. You go right back into your head and you shift the scales away from love. But even smells can trigger an ecstatic experience, which is why life is always better when we stop to smell the roses or the apple cinnamon pie or the fresh, humid air after a rainstorm. We never know which experience is going to trigger the ecstasy within us. And that, my loves, is the potential of the new moon in Libra on September 25th, 26th, depending on where you are, and the entire Libra lunar cycle. Mercury retrograde be damned. I mean, look, Mercury is joined together with Venus and Virgo with this new moon, and Mercury is the traditional ruler of Virgo. When you open your heart and your physical body to the portals of delight and ecstasy, you can turn lead into gold or coal into a diamond. Mercury is the quintessential alchemist in Virgo, not the mischief maker he can be in Gemini, even when he is retrograde. Again, there's a catch. You can only go through the portals. You can only alchemize pain and suffering into love if you slow down, if you do it with balanced, even breathing. You can't do it holding your breath. I mean, after all, Libra is an air sign, and it certainly can't happen through power, domination, manipulation, or lies. And we'll talk more about those shadows in Scorpio season. It takes love to turn darkness into light, to bring balance. Again, another keynote of Libra, between yin and yang, masculine and feminine. When we experience that balance within us and within our most intimate relationships, it creates peace. Of course, our culture loves, and especially the mainstream media, love to create conflict, especially between masculine and feminine, darkness and light, black and white. You name it, we've got a conflict for it. The low frequency of conflict is everywhere. It's a disease. The cure, of course, is love. Now, Venus will conjunct exactly with Virgo. Let me say that again. Venus will conjunct exactly with Mercury in Virgo less than 24 hours after the new moon. She's considered in her fall in Virgo. Can you love past through the flaws to mine the gold in yourself and in your beloved? Libra at its highest frequencies epitomizes the concept of conscious coupling. That beautiful dance of the masculine and feminine, where there is a balance of the energies and frequencies of masculine and feminine, with the three, that balance exists within, again, those three beings of the relationship: you, your beloved, and the we that makes three. As I often say, it doesn't matter what your gender identity is, how you gender identify, how you sexually identify, what your biology is. We all have this energy of masculine and feminine within us. And our culture puts the emphasis on the masculine for so many of us. And this beautiful energy of balance of the masculine and feminine begins within us as individuals. And then we can bring it into the magic of coupling consciously together. That means having an awareness and an acceptance of who we are as individuals and as a couple, to be willing to live in total intimate transparency with one another, to be willing to do our own work around ourselves and raising our own frequency without blaming or shaming the other. When we're working on our own frequency, it automatically affects the frequency of our beloved and of the we. Now, if you're not in a couple, don't despair, my love. You also have a beautiful opportunity to bring this balance within yourself before attempting to bring it into an intimate partnership. This is honestly the mistake that so many of us make. We dive into relationship without having an awareness of these energies. Lord knows I could write a whole humorous tome about diving into relationship, especially post-divorce, without having an awareness of these energies. And that can lead to all sorts of seriousness, codependency, and imbalance within the relationship. I'm not going to touch on the codependency piece because, like I said in the Virgo full moon, we're going to be dealing with that throughout the Scorpio lunar cycle that's coming up at the end of October. And this is the perfect time for me to remind you that I am going to be offering a program to help us through the Scorpio lunar cycle called Bridge Through Uncertainty, a transformative portal to navigate eclipse season, and beyond. Actually, it's not, I just added that in for effect because this Scorpio lunar cycle is going to be so intense. We've got a Venus star point just before, we've got eclipses, Mars retrograde, US election day, and a zillion transits that have the potential to help us transform ourselves and the world around us. So if you're curious, if you want to know more, head on over to my website, www.divinelyjennifer.com/programs to get more information, or you can always just reach out to me at hello@divinelyjennifer.com and send me a message there. Send me an email there and I'll tell you all about it. Okay, end of plug. Okay, beautiful being. This is the end of this video. Head on over to the new moon in Libra part 2 for more incredible, oh my God, ecstasy, juicy astrology for the new moon in Libra on September 25th, 2022. And be sure also to sign up to at least get on my mailing list for more information about the Bridge Through Uncertainty program that I'll be offering through the wildly intense Scorpio eclipse lunar cycle that begins on October 25th. There's a Venus star point, like I said, on October 22nd. It's gonna be magical. Oh my goodness. So I'm here to support you. I love you. If you've had enough, you just can't listen to more, no worries. And if you just have to have more, I'll see you over in the new moon in Libra part 2. Mwah. I love you.